Hello, and welcome to episode 54, the last episode of 2023 of Intercultural Insiders. My name is John McGraw, and I help newcomers, expats, and businesses connect across cultures to succeed in less time and pain. I am the founder of Hyaku Coaching, which is dedicated to helping you create your pathway to success in a new culture. The purpose of Intercultural Insiders is to share the stories of people with intercultural experiences. So if you're feeling isolated or lost, you can hear something from the guest experiences that could help you, even if it's just a reminder that you're not alone. Today is part one, part two with Luki Danukarjanto, part one being last week. And as usual, before we get into the interview, I'd like to start off with a little bit of something. Usually it's an announcement of what's coming up or a story about what's happened in the past. But today, since this is the last episode of 2023, I'd like to just reflect on what's gone on over the past year for Intercultural Insiders since this show started in late October. And just to take a look at all of the episodes that occurred over the past year on the YouTube channel. You can see the Hyaku Coaching YouTube channel here. There's so many episodes, starting off with my own solo episode at the very beginning, then going on to the interview, my first guest, Liliana Nakamura, sharing her experiences of going from Argentina to Japan, and now here in Canada with her career as an HR professional. So many people, Doris Haddad and her career advice, like Shahzad Gidwani talking about his own experiences leading multinational teams. Again, Johan Mehta, who had his experiences coming Canada and then also becoming a coach. Sachi Kikuchi, and her experiences being raised in a biracial, bicultural, Japan and Canada, Japanese Canadian, born and raised in Canada. So many, yes. Anam Halim, and who's recently just come back to LinkedIn. So hi, Anam, and just sharing his experiences of his past year recently. Shini Sahani, who has just landed a position in her field, helping youth out in Vancouver. Rosemarie Fernandez and Daisy Wright, and all of the wonderful conversations that we've had and the help that they've given me in my career. So many wonderful people who have a wealth of experiences to share, I would say. And it's really worth, if you haven't gone through the episodes, it's worth going back. You can see them all on the Hyaku Coaching YouTube channel. So many valuable experiences, including that we have today with Luki and part two of the conversation with him. And not only the video, of course, but if you're a person who prefers audio, then you can also take a look at the podcast, the Intercultural Insiders podcast, which is available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, so many other platforms. The episodes come out on the following Monday, so that means that this episode will be out next Monday, the 27th. Again, all of the content is there for you to listen to learn from. So if you, again, are feeling isolated or lost, or you're not sure what to do, there are so many valuable stories here about connecting with others, about networking, about finding work, about how to advance your career, and finding so many things. And it's really worth going back to listen to all of that, so you can take that time during the break, if you haven't already, until the show comes back in New Year, most likely in February is the current plan. There's so much to learn from the collective wisdom. And I've learned so much from the conversations that I've had, and it's informed my ability to help my clients to connect across cultures, to be able to find their way when they've come here to Canada and have left behind so much in their home countries, and also to help other businesses to connect with the newcomers and realize that it is a two-way process to join together. It's not entirely on the newcomers to Canada to adjust. If we want to really make Canada a great country, then it requires adjustments on both sides to accommodate and for Canada to reach the great goals that it can and the great heights that it can. So I just wanted to reflect on that, and I will be keep your eyes out for the next issue of Intercultural Insiders, which will be coming out within the next couple of days, with some reflections on what will be coming up for the coming year, perhaps a slightly different format for the show coming in the new year, but still it's going to present valuable conversations with people with intercultural experiences to help you when you're feeling isolated and lost. So with that said, let's start talking about the second part of our conversation with Luki Danukarjanto. For those of you who tuned in last week, you know that Luki is a career coach who works with everyone, but particularly helps immigrants and the children of immigrants and international students. He moved to Canada when he was a child. He helps people to develop careers with purpose. So some of the things that we talk about today is stepping out of your comfort zone and encouraging everyone to challenge themselves by attending events like Toastmasters or improv comedy nights. Also, the importance of volunteering, that it's not just about giving back, but it's also another way of networking. And again, that networking comes up. It's such a vital skill to develop, and there are many different ways to do that. So again, some valuable points that Luki shares today. So without further wait, also, as always, Luki will be available in the chat, just as I will be, even though this episode is pre-recorded. The interview is pre-recorded, so please feel free to comment in the chat, to ask your questions, make yourself be known. Again, that is a big part of networking. Don't be shy. Comment. I encourage you to start off by letting us know where you're joining us from. So just comment in the comments here on LinkedIn Live. We'll post them up on the screen. Helps to boost your visibility and make connections that you may not have by staying in your comfort zone. So with that said, let's get into part 2 of the conversation with Luki Danukarjanto. A lot of great points that you brought up there. If they can demonstrate, hey, I have that resilience, I have that grit because I've moved halfway around the world to be here. And also here, I have these different perspectives that someone who is domestic isn't going to have, simply because I've come from another culture. I have a different perspective and I understand how things work here. So that's a real selling point if you can show it in that way and communicate in the way that's going to appeal to them. You mentioned that concern about maybe getting stuck just hanging around with your own culture. And this is something that maybe is more of a relatively recent phenomenon, where the campus becomes monocultural because of the influx of international students from certain parts of the world. I did a talk recently at a college here in Toronto, and the student body there was pretty much exclusively from different parts of India. And I would think that in those circumstances, you'd have to make a very conscious effort to integrate by connecting with people not from your own culture. What could be some ways to perhaps get that exposure to other cultures?
Yeah, what comes to mind is the quote, "You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with," right? So even with that campus of predominantly whatever culture it is, they're going to be the ones, hopefully like you, that want to integrate or do something different, right? So you can find those folks that if there's a group that's always talking whatever your mother tongue is and all that sort of stuff, you might want to spend one less hour with them and another hour with a group that is. It doesn't really matter necessarily what culture they come from, but the ones that kind of believe and have the same values. Because in a campus, even of hundreds of thousands of people, there will always be pockets of folks that kind of align with. Seek them out and don't necessarily do what's comfortable based on proximity, right? You met this person in first year and they seem quite nice. And if they're not exhibiting like the behaviors that you aspire to, you might, again, want to spend one less hour with them and find an hour extra with someone else. But the other part is you don't necessarily have to stay on campus, right? Because there are the things that are provided based on convenience, right? Which is great because you're there. But Toronto, there's so many different things that's around, right? Just Google it and see if down the street, maybe with a different cultural organization, newcomer or what have you, experience it on that side. So yes, you might want to have the comfort of kind of your local ones, but do you need that 30 days out of the month? Or could you do that 20 days and just add 10 of somewhere else? Or could you flip it around and do it 20 days else and then 10 days in comfort, right? It's really up to the person to be proactive, but there are tons of resources. And again, you find those like-minded people and you might actually find it easier because you hang around people who want to do something else, who want to challenge themselves to go to a Toastmasters meetup or like improv comedy night where you are trying to be funny and learn how to do that or whatever it is that kind of tickles your fancy. If you find those people, then you're more likely to do that versus the ones that kind of sit at home, watch the local movies and music from there. That's fine to do, but don't make it your dominant. So the 80-20 rule, keep your culture, maybe that 20 rule, and expose yourself to the 80% of all the amazing stuff that's out there. Yeah, the short answer would be just you need to be a little bit more proactive because unfortunately sometimes what's the expression? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? So if that's a lemon in terms of the culture experience, well, go make some lemonade out there.
Great point that you make about the 80-20 rule. It doesn't necessarily have to be all 100% one way or another way. And it may be a gradual process. In the long run, the benefits are going to be significant. And going a little bit further down the life path, some of your thoughts for those who immigrate here as adults who have work experience in their fields and coming to Canada with the number of challenges that we know, at times the Canadian experience barrier that comes up. So what sort of recommendations do you have for those people?
For me, my typical job search advice usually revolves around networking, right? And that term is thrown around a lot where I think a lot of folks, when they hear it, they say, okay, let me go to an event. Let me get a lot of business cards and that's it. And then people are frustrated because I don't have a network, but then they come and now I have 100 business cards, right? What good are they? Going back to it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's really about who knows you, right? So you want to take those and you don't need to have a quantity in your network. You just need a bit of quality. So what I would actually recommend a lot of those folks to do is I find that one of the best forms of networking is actually to volunteer because with whatever cause that you are passionate about, be it culturally, be it like the environment or civics and voting or whatever it is, something that you feel passionate about, when people see that interest and passion in someone, they want more of that. And I would love if you show up on time, always put up your hand and come in early and volunteer for everything. That's the type of person I want to hire you. I would really love to hire you. I can train almost anything, but I can't train that attitude, at least not very easily. So demonstrating that is much better than necessarily having a 20-minute coffee chat. And 20-minute coffee chat is great, right? Then what did you do for them? Do they actually know you now that you sat with them at Tim Hortons or Starbucks or whatever and shared a little bit about your life story? You asked about theirs. Like, are they willing to now put their reputation on the line in order to advocate for you, right? Because most people, when they network, they want to get a referral. And I say, actually, you don't want a referral. What you really want is a recommendation. Because on the referral side, it's basically saying, hey, met this person, resume seems okay, take a look at it. Versus a recommendation, oh my gosh, you need to interview Luki. He's fantastic. Like, he shows up every week. He's always the first one there, the last one to leave. He's had so many innovative ideas. We really need him to join the team. Which one would be better? Obviously, the recommendation. And most people go off the quantity of as many business cards, as many coffee chats as they can have versus the quality of, hey, find maybe the 10 people in your network that you found that you really align with and could really help, and take a look at adding value to them, right? And then in the meantime, do the traditional apply online and things like that. Make sure that you practice interview questions. and you have the answer for the why should we hire you, right? Because people talk, you mentioned about this Canadian experience. And I find that talking to my recruiter friends, it's more that Canadian experience is just more like a catch-all phrase, like the Canadian politeness. For basically saying that I don't believe that you can do as much as some of the other competitors, for lack of a better word, that may or may not be domestic, right? Because it could be that someone without Canadian experience can actually land the role if you can convince them that all this international experience is relevant, maybe through the volunteer work, so you've aligned in terms of the cultural fit or whatever, in any shape or form, making them believe that you can do the role is really what it is, right? I would recommend for folks to really change their perspective on networking, focus more on the quality versus the quantity. And then if they can showcase like their skills and their value in terms of what they can bring to the table that's unique and different than, call it, a local domestic employee, that sort of thing, then they actually have the advantage on that side too, right? Because I know some folks are coached to take a role that's like below whatever they had back home, because that'll be your entry level. But then you're overqualified, right? And you get hit by that one, right? So there's always an excuse at whatever level. If you haven't yet given the other person on the other side a comfort level that you can do the job, you are the best person to do the job, and you want to hire me right now and get me off the market. So it's just being able to share that story. But it goes back to what we talked about earlier about you're not supposed to brag, you're supposed to be humble. And I often, for those people, say that it's not bragging if it's true. If this is what you did, that's what you did. It's not bragging. It's just, I was able to do this. I was able to do this. Now you just have to be able to comfortably talk about what you did in the context of what they're looking for.
In terms of selling yourself, I think it's very easy to, when you're even just putting together your resume. Yeah, okay, this is my work experience. These are the responsibilities. And you're just listing that. And okay, that's great. All these other people have a similar experience. So why should I choose you over them? And as you said, it's really focusing on what are the transferable skills and what results did you have, right? With you specifically, that makes you stand out, that makes you unique, that others can't speak to. And also volunteering as networking. I love that because again, it's building relationships. And when you are working with people, you're going to be building relationships. Obviously, one needs to cover your survival needs. But for those who are maybe reluctant to volunteer, what would you say to them?
I guess for them, again, you need a roof over your head. You need to put food on the table. You need the basic necessities and stuff like that. You definitely need to have that covered. But at the end of the day, if you are focused on that area, then you want to take a look at like long term. So do you want to continue down your survival job for the rest of your time in Canada? Or are there other opportunities? Because as busy as everybody is, you can spare an hour a week. So you can go somewhere. And it goes back to what we talked about, where if you do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. So don't treat it as work. Treat it as an opportunity to give back. Maybe it's your version of self-care, because when you're around a certain type of people and environment, your tribe, then again, you're more energized, right? If you're volunteering for the sake of volunteering, that's the wrong reason to do it. So that's why I highly encourage folks to pick something that they are interested and passionate about, because that comes across. When you volunteer just to get an hour or a network or whatever, that comes across too, right? And you don't want the negative version of it to come off too, where, oh, they're only there because they want to meet more people and connect. They're not actually here for whatever cause that we're trying to support. And if it can be related to whatever you're doing, because oftentimes, like whatever industry or domain you're in, there's an organization for that. So like for accountants, there's like the CPA groups and a whole bunch of different accounting. You can volunteer for them, right? Do events for them, right? Doctors, engineers and stuff. Like in Ontario, there's the PEO, Professional Engineers of Ontario, where you can volunteer for them. They have events, they have all sorts of different things, right? Why couldn't you share some experience from your past life and past world in engineering with them, right? There could be the alignment between what you're doing and these volunteer opportunities, or it could be something purely that's on the side. So for those that really don't have time for volunteering, you want to think about like short-term or long-term priorities. Yeah. And I guess a different question is, if you've been going down this path and if it's not working for you, why not try something a little bit different and see if that works, right? Because what did Einstein say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for different results. So If you want to move up in the world and all you're doing is working at the same job and not volunteering, then in order to get different results, maybe you try volunteering. Maybe it'll get you the same and you might be no better off, but chances are you'll find that opportunity to connect. Because what people don't realize is when you network and connect and volunteer, it's not the one person that you meet, right? It's the person and the 10, 100 people that they're connected with, right? Because the volunteer that is helping you stack cans at the food bank, they might not be able to help you. But did you know that their sister works at a bank, right? And they're looking for whatever you want to do, right? And not their sister, it's their cousin or their roommate or their whatever, right? And just by talking about them, demonstrating how amazing you are, it's like, yeah, I met this person. They come in every week and help out. And they really have an amazing work ethic. I think you should hire. And they mentioned to me during one of our coffee breaks that they were interested in breaking into that. So sometimes it's that proximity where you need to get to know them and they need to get to know you. So sometimes serendipity happens, but only if you allow it to.
You've shared a lot of great advice today for people at all different stages of life and career paths. Tell us more about specifically what you're doing, like the Focus Inspired Academy and Gym for Career Success and all of these other things that you're doing.
Yeah, so you'll probably see me on social media. So I'm most active on LinkedIn, and then that'll probably give you an understanding of the different things that I'm doing. So I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. We hit 1,000 subscribers a few weeks ago, and hopefully going to get into watch hours and be a YouTube partner and all that sort of stuff. There's a podcast on there as well, available on YouTube and different podcast platforms. Books, I created some content. So for those watching on video, there's 2 for as product placement here, stuff I wish I knew earlier, the Students Edition and then the Young Professionals Edition. So it's basically what you didn't know you needed to know about jobs, careers, and life. If I were to give a cheat sheet to my younger self, what would I want to tell myself? This would be it in book form, right? And as you mentioned, the Focus Inspired Academy, that's the new offering that I have for group coaching. Think of it as a gym for career success, right? Because if you attend a workshop on whatever, resumes, interviews, networking, communication, finding your purpose, it's unlikely that in one session, you'll be good, right? Just going to the gym, you can't go to the gym for 60 minutes and be healthy, right? You got to go back again. Now, when you go back, it's different things that you need to take care of because it used to be leg day. Now it's arm day. Now it's back day. Now it's whatever, right? And you might need help with your LinkedIn, your interviews. Then like, how do I get a promotion? How do I save for financial security? That sort of thing, right? All of these things are oftentimes what I talk about in my book. And this is one where you can group and meet with like-minded people to be on a path to career success. So we are going to pilot for different groups where there are going to be ones for students, especially the ones that don't have access to like co-op programs and things like that, helping them through that. The young professionals who are looking for their purpose, right? So you're that lawyer that got a job at the Big Four and now have your CPO, but still don't feel fulfilled, right? We want to be able to help you and put you on a path. And it doesn't mean that you quit things and you stop being an accountant or whatever it is. Maybe it's just changing your perspective and leveraging whatever you're doing right now to your future advantage, right? So yeah, a lot of different things out there. And we hope that folks will join. And my plans in the future is to turn this into an actual like in-person academy, like at some sort of school where we can teach like soft skills and career skills and power skills, human skills, whatever we call them, so that everybody can grow. But right now it's an online offering. Yeah, I'd love if folks connect with me on LinkedIn, and if they want to chat about anything, jobs, careers, or life, then feel free to reach out.
Any final thoughts that you'd like to leave off with?
No, I think for me, thanks again, John, for having me on the show and being able to share some information. I hope all the immigrants to newcomers out there, be it first, second, or whatever generation is, now that you have immigrated, there are so many different possibilities that are out there. And chances are, if someone around here has done it, you can do it too. So seek out mentorship, seek out coaching, seek out folks. Again, maybe the 5 people that you spend the most time with needs to change as well. Just like we mentioned for the students, that applies to young professionals, experienced professionals, all of, because yeah, there's so much possibility and potential. And hopefully you can get past kind of your own limiting beliefs and get on a path to unlock your career success.
Excellent points to finish off with. Luki, thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences, your advice, your wisdom. It's going to be extremely valuable for anyone who's been watching. Thanks so much. and hope to talk again soon. That was part 2 with Luki Danukarjanto. And just as there was with part 1, a lot of valuable points that came up. Particularly, I loved the point about volunteering, seeing it not only as an opportunity to give back, but as an alternate way of networking, connecting with people, demonstrating your work ability, your work ethics, and the skills that you have. So, again, if that's something that you're struggling with, yes, as Luki mentioned, it's necessary to pay the bills, to have a roof over your head. But volunteering can be an excellent way to build that Canadian experience and to demonstrate the skills that you have, show that you have the ability to work in a Canadian environment, and just to I think in Canada, there is a bit of a tendency to be risk averse and wanting to understand a bit more about what a person is offering. And again, how they stand out from other people who have other experiences. So showing those transferable skills, showing those soft skills, power skills. Volunteering is an excellent way to do that. So, at this point, I would be telling you about what's coming up next week, but of course, this is the final episode of 2023. And again, it's been a fantastic year. There will be more announcements about the format of the show coming up again in February, but there will also be some releases between now and then, some compilations of valuable points. In the meantime, I do encourage you to take a look at the YouTube channel if you haven't already, or even if you have, go back through the YouTube channel, Hyaku Coaching YouTube channel, and take a look at what's there. There is so much, as we mentioned, so many episodes, over 50, 54, in fact, including today's. Take a look and see what's available there. And again, if you are more of an audio-oriented person, someone who's more of an audiophile, then take a look and download, subscribe to the Intercultural Insiders podcast. Again, available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, where most major podcasts are available. Again, great content to listen to while you're commuting, while you're going away for the holidays, while you are doing work, doing a workout, I should say, whatever it is. Again, excellent opportunity, great content from a lot of fantastic guests. It's been a great year, but I have to admit, I'm also looking forward to taking a little bit of time off from the show, focusing on other projects coming up. And that will be announced soon. Coming up, a course that I will be launching very soon for newcomers about connecting, making those connections. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And as always, I'm happy to share it. So be sure to follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Keep an eye out. There's many exciting things coming up for Hyaku Coaching. So with that said, that brings us to the end of our episode and the end of 2023's season. So until next time, keep navigating your way between cultures towards your goals. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.